Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining us. It's another episode number four. Dinner's going to be a little late tonight, and I'm John Bailey from Two Dads with Baggage.
I'm Patty Wary. Nice to see you.
Glad you guys are here. This week, we are making Italian stuffed zucchini, which is sort of a family tradition. And my family immigrated from Sicily. My grandparents came from a town called El Vetrano on the western side of Italy or Sicily near Palermo. And the tradition there in Sicily was to cook whatever was fresh, whatever you had available. And so they were very resourceful, very poor, and they brought a lot of those same traditions into the US when they came to live here. Immigrated, ended up through Ellis Island. I went to Ellis Island and got to see where they had signed and gone through and stamped as official US citizens. Can you believe that? Like at Ellis Island, they were so excited to have immigrants come to the United States. And all you had to do was go through a line, they stamped a piece of paper, and you were an American citizen. Think about that versus today. But anyway, they traveled across the country and ended up in Sacramento, of all places. And so that's where my family is. Love my family, and they are all in Sacramento, still making delicious food. So anyway, my mom, from her mom, who learned from her mom how to make this stuffed zucchini recipe. And Patty and I have updated it a little bit to modern taste and sensibilities and things you can buy at the grocery store and to gather from the side of the road. But yeah, so that's what we're making.
Yep, I'm excited. I just noticed that my friend Teresa, who is a wonderful Italian friend of mine, is on. So hi, T. And she actually lives very near Sacramento. So there's just a lovely little connection there.
Hello, hey, Teresa. Teresa, maybe we're related. Is your family from Sicily too?
Actually, her husband's the Italian one, and he is a great cook. Oh my gosh, he's fabulous. So,
well, you'll have to ask him.
So John, did you grow the zucchini we're using today?
Well, no, I didn't. I do have zucchini growing in my garden, but fortunately, it's not quite at the place where it was ready to make this dish. I am growing these these globe zucchini.
They're beautiful.
Go ahead.
All right, well, let's tell us about the recipe, John. How are we going to get started here?
Okay, well, I'm a big fan of the farmer's market, so I go to the farmer's market, and it's sort of my kind of nod to that Sicilian tradition I was telling you about, where I'm buying what's fresh and making things with what's available and seasonal. And so I went to the farmer's market, and I thought, hey, let's make this stuffed zucchini recipe. But the farmer's market had these really cool globe zucchinis. Have you ever seen one of these? It's exactly the same as the long, skinny, regular kind you see in the grocery store, but they're called 8 balls, which you can kind of tell why. Not the drug reference, but the actual pool reference. And they're called 8 balls. So I'm using these, and Patty's using the traditional shape, right, Patty?
I am. And my husband and I went to 2 different grocery stores to get the right size zucchini because, again, let me reiterate, produce in the desert in the summer is a sad, sad thing. But we found some good ones. Very pleased with my zucchini selection today. I was laughing when you brought up this recipe because I remember my mom had this amazing vegetable garden and she would grow zucchini, and the zucchini would come out like the size of an infant, right? And they were so huge and they were so prolific, and you'd be like, what do we do with all this zucchini? Zucchini bread and zucchini muffins. And so I was like, okay, zucchini, let's do this.
Yeah, we got really resourceful with the zucchini too. And they would get giant because you'd let it go and days it was enormous. And my mom would make this dish with it, but it wasn't as good. Yeah. So anyway, we're going to start with these zucchinis, and what we do is we hollow them out. So the globe zucchini ends up looking like this, and it's kind of like just hollowing out a pumpkin. So you're you're scooping out the insides, and you're trying not to break through the outside so that you have a little cup that you can put the stuffing in, and then it will cook. Sorry about the dogs. And then it will cook and it's all delicious.
Hi, George and Alice.
That's George and Alice.
Oh, I love those dogs. So I'm using the regular traditional zucchini, and I want to share with you a little hack for how to get the center out of the zucchini really easily. So,
oh yeah, why don't you do that, and I'll be hollowing out my globe zucchini. So
all right, I've already hollowed out most of mine because I had a lot to work with. So if you have the regular everyday zucchini, all you're going to do is take a knife, like a steak knife, and score it down the side, on each side, just to the left and the right of where you can see those seeds, and then make a pretty semicircle at the bottom, and just one slice across the top. And then, ready for this? You get your grapefruit spoon, serrated edge grapefruit spoon. In the desert, we're big into grapefruit. It grows for free. As my sister says when she comes visit, she says, there's free food on the trees. It's amazing. So you just take that serrated edge and you put it at the bottom, and you just kind of shimmy your way up the center of that zucchini. And if it breaks, that's okay. But if you can do it in one piece, bonus points. So I'm working my way up. I'm getting there. Got my camera angle going. Getting zucchini on the floor. Fantastic. All right. So then when you get almost to the end, flip a Yui. Take it from the other end, scoop it out. And then you've got most of that out. But if you want a little more, you've got this awesome little tool to use to scrape out what else you want, if you want to make it a little bigger. And then the last touch, for those of us who like things like this, you can clean off your edges so they're pure, beautiful, beautiful, nice clean edges. And then look, isn't that cute? It's ready to be filled. Voila.
okay, so raise your hand if you actually have a grapefruit knife and spoon in your kitchen, because that's a desert thing. I swear that's a desert thing, or maybe like, I don't know, but I did not have that. I used a regular spoon. It worked fine. So
I don't know. I like that edge. That serrated edge makes it a lot easier because it's like a knife. The other thing, if you do have a grapefruit, Dee Dee, her zucchinis are monsters the size of a child's leg. So you're going to have to like eight-tuple this recipe. But here's another thing about the grapefruit spoon. If you like kiwi, cut the kiwi in half, use a grapefruit spoon. Yeah, you can use a regular spoon, but why exert all that effort when you can just use the grapefruit spoon? All right, I'll get off my grapefruit spoon soapbox now. All right, where are we, John?
okay, so we're taking the zucchini that we've hollowed out, the flesh that we've hollowed out, and we're putting it in a bowl for later. So we're going to mix that up with some, but first we're using some Italian sausage, and we're going to fry it up with some onions and some delicious garlic and a bunch of other good things. So I'm putting the sausage in the pan so that it will brown. And the trick is, like, if you use link sausage, Italian sausage with the casing on it, you need to take the casing off first. And here's the trick. Just take a sharp knife, slice down the side, roll it back, and it just plops right out. I used to do this kind of disgusting thing where I would just squeeze it and make it come out the side like a big zit. And it was like unpleasant and messy. So now just slice it down the side, fold it back, and it plops right out. Or you could do what Patty and I did, which was you can actually buy Italian sausage not in the casing. So it looks like a pack of hamburger, but it's Italian sausage already made. So it's maybe even a little less messy, but maybe not as authentic, certainly not what my grandmother or my mother were doing when they made this recipe. So they're probably rolling in their graves right now. I'm sorry. I cheated and took a shortcut.
There's a brand I was telling John about that I like to use, and it's called T&J Sausage Kitchen, and they're based in Anaheim, and they make, and you just get it at the grocery store, and I just discovered it, and they make chorizo and Italian sausage and Turk sausage, and they are all so delicious. They cook up so easily. It seems like they're not as fatty and greasy. So check it out, T&J. And T&J, if you're watching.
Did you get it at Albertsons or? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Easy.
I mean, that's right. I got this at Vons, and I don't know I can't remember what brand it was. So as this sausage is cooking, you're wanting to break it up with the spatula because you want it to be crumbled. So you need to sort of keep smashing it as it's cooking. Now we're putting in a half a cup of onions so that they kind of cook and caramelize with the sausage. And then we're putting in a clove or two of garlic. And really that depends on how garlicky you like things. I like things garlicky. I don't know, maybe it's a keep the vampires away thing. I don't know.
I'm not over the top garlic, but I do like garlic. And the best garlic I've ever had in my life, my sister grew. John, have you ever grown garlic?
It's amazing. It's enormous. It was like the size of a fist.
Oh, it's so delicious. My sister grew it in Illinois, I believe, or was she in Michigan? I think it was Michigan. The best garlic I've ever had in my life. And because it was so fresh, no garlic breath. It was fabulous. She bailed.
That's true. Because as garlic sits in the grocery, or they pick it, it goes on a truck, it goes to the warehouse, they clean it, make it pretty, it goes to the grocery store, it finally comes to your house, and then eventually you use it. Well, that could be weeks. And as garlic sits, onions are the same. As they sit after being picked, they strengthen. So they concentrate, meaning that they start to, the liquids start to evaporate naturally. And so it becomes more intense, the flavor. And sometimes it can be a little much. So think about when you buy your garlic, use it soon. If it starts to get really flaky, and let's say you're storing it in your refrigerator, it starts to get really flaky and the outside start kind of just crumbling off, time to toss. It's not that expensive, guys. It costs like $1 to buy another head. So
do you store your garlic in the fridge, John?
Yeah, I do.
No.
We have a drawer in my refrigerator that stores onions, potatoes, and garlic. It's at a higher temperature. Some of the rest of the refrigerator, like the crisper, which is at a pretty high temperature. So it just keeps them fresh until I can use them. Every once in a while, I find a science experiment. I don't know if that happens in your refrigerator, but like onions or potatoes or even garlic, they start to sprout. They start to sprout this little green shoot. And that would be an indication that maybe it was time to let that one go. Or take it out in your yard and plant it. I know that one year we planted a whole kind of package of potatoes that had gone past their prime. And we planted them in the vegetable garden. And we counted 88 potatoes we harvested from those little potato spuds that we put in the ground. So potatoes are very prolific.
Who knew? The prolific.
Who knew?
Yeah, this smells good.
This is starting to brown up nice. Here, I'll show you. See? Oh, brown. There you go. It's browning up nice. It's almost all cooked. And in the meantime, now we're going to throw in our mushrooms. So I like to use portobello mushrooms, and I've chopped them into little pieces. Portobello mushrooms just have a little bit more of a, I don't know. Oh, that looks pretty, Patty.
Thank you.
They have a little bit more of a woodsy flavor that gives it a little bit of an extra flavor. But you can use any kind of mushrooms you like. So I'm going to toss those in. The recipe calls for 1 large or 2 medium. I honestly couldn't tell you when I bought these whether they qualified as large or medium. So I did 1.5. But it looks like it's about 3/4 of a cup by the time I've got it chopped up there. And again, like, this is Italian cooking. I will tell you if you have to be exact, but a lot of it you don't have to be exact. A lot of Italian cooking is based on a little bit of this, and a little bit of that, and you sort of have to just kind of find your flavor, which is why in my family, when we make sauce or supu or whatever your family calls it, spaghetti sauce, every single one of us learned it exactly the same, and every single one of us makes it different. Because we put our little splash into it, or somebody puts more of this and less of that.
You know, my mother was not Italian. My father was Cuban, but my mother loved Italian cooking. And so we grew up with a lot of Italian cooking too. And I feel the same way. I have these recipes from my mother and her horrible handwriting, and there's no portions. There's just the ingredients and then sort of a vague outline of what you should do with them.
So you're still crumbling up the pieces of sausage, and now I'm putting in the guts of the zucchini that I just hollowed out. And I'm just gonna kind of brown that up a little bit with the rest of this, because that's gonna go right back into the inside of the zucchini as we stuff it. So we're using all the parts, the tender inside and the rind of the outside. It's all edible, and it's all gonna be part of this recipe. Here's the other thing about this recipe. It's super visual and highly impressive when you serve it. So if you're trying to impress somebody, maybe you have a date, or maybe you're having a couple over for dinner and you want to look like, hey, I'm a master chef. Well, this one is super easy, but it looks amazing. And we cut this recipe in half so we could show you how we prepare it and what it looks like finished. But normally we start with 4 globes of zucchini like this, or 4 zucchinis like Patty made, halves, because that's about a serving for one person. So that's how we put it together. But today we're just having it so that you can see it cooking and see it done.
You know, John, also, the other thing about this recipe that I think is great is that you can make it, if you're not a fan of sausage, you can make it with ground beef. And if you prefer, you could also use a plant-based, like the Impossible beef, which I think would be great.
Why don't you talk about your bell pepper thing?
Oh, exactly. Another thing. So rumor has it, John's family does not like peppers, but my family does. And I'm not a big fan of the green, but love the red and the yellow, the orange. I love anything, obviously, love red. Anyway, so when I was having a slight anxiety attack that I wasn't going to be able to find the cute globe zucchini or sufficient, adequate zucchini, I said, well, what about using red pepper instead? And John said, sure, you could do that. So that's another option. So it's kind of fun when you take, and it's kind of to what you're saying about your family recipes, when you take like sort of the skeleton of a recipe and you can change it and mix it up. Okay, Triton, it's confirmed. John's husband hates peppers.
This is my husband, and he's confirming no peppers.
No peppers. Love peppers. So I actually make a similar recipe, and I do ground turkey in peppers. So it's all how you just take those ingredients and mix them up. But I love Italian sausage.
Okay, so now I'm ready the next set of ingredients, which we will add to the mix and then stuff the zucchini with. So this is finished cooking. I have the peppers. You have me talking about peppers.
Sorry.
We do need to do salt and pepper, which I forgot.
Salt and pepper.
But we have the sausage, it's all cooked. We have the onions, they're all cooked and kind of caramely. We have the garlic and the mushrooms, and then we added the insides that we scooped out of the zucchini. So that's it, you guys. And now we're just going to mix it in a bowl. Where's my nice bowl? Oh, here we go. So we're gonna mix it into a bowl with these other ingredients. So I'm gonna take this out. Now the zucchini itself is a little watery, and so what I do is I use a slotted spoon or a spatula in this case, and I actually take it out of the pan and leave the extra juices in the pan. You don't have to do that. It's just my thing. Okay, so I've got that done. And I've got my bowl with the dressing, and the dressing with all the stuff in it. And now I'm putting I'm putting in a cup of breadcrumbs. Now, so my mom, also crazy woman, used to make the breadcrumbs from scratch. Make the breadcrumbs. Like, who makes breadcrumbs?
John, did your mom for Thanksgiving take the loaf of bread and dry out the pieces overnight and make her own stuffing for the bread for the stuffing? Yeah.
Yes.
I do that.
Who does that? Do you do that?
I do.
And that's why you're amazing. And that's why I love you, because you go that extra step. And I have had Patty's Thanksgiving dinner, and her stuffing is amazing, and so it's worth it, evidently. Mine probably sucks because I don't do that. I buy the store-bought, already cubed stuff. Now, I will get it from Whole Foods or from Lazy Acres or from one of those places, but it's still pre-made. In this case, I'm using Progresso Italian-style crumbs because they got a little extra flavor. So these have parsley and a little bit of extra spice in them. Oh, look at you. So it just adds a little kick. But you can use plain breadcrumbs. And if you're feeling like, hey, let's go, you can make your own. So it's actually not that hard to make your own. You just slice bread, put it in the oven, dry it out, and then crumble it. But yeah, it's just one more step. And, we're trying to keep things moving here. So we put that in, we put the breadcrumbs in, and then we put an egg. So we're putting the egg in. We're putting a tablespoon of fresh flat parsley and a tablespoon of fresh basil, and the cheese. So the recipe you'll see on the website, we'll post in a couple of minutes. Oh, go ahead.
Did you beat the egg a little bit before you put it in, or did you just throw it in there?
I did. I scrambled it.
Okay.
But either works.
Well, I'm going to do that. I have the cutest thing. It's even better. It's better than the grapefruit spoon. A tiny, tiny, tiny whisk. I love using this.
Okay. All right. Now you win. You have a grapefruit knife, a grapefruit spoon, and a tiny whisk. I can't wait to see your drawer of
Gadget.
Okay, back to the cheese. So the recipe calls for grated mozzarella cheese, and then Romano cheese, and then Parmesan cheese. So it's a cheese fest. However, if you shop at Trader Joe's, they have this amazing mix. I love Trader Joe's. I don't know about you guys. I love Trader Joe's. So it's called Quattro Formaggi. And they have it all mixed together, and it is Parmesan, Fontina, Provolone, and Asiago. So it's like that is a perfect, delicious mix. And you don't have to grate it all. And again, like my mom and my grandmother were in the kitchen grating the cheese, and worse yet, they would say, hey, John, can you come in here for a minute? And I would come into the kitchen excited, thinking I was going to get a little something to eat. They're like, can you grate this cheese for me? It was the worst job. My knuckles would always end up grated. I'm sure there was a flavor in this dish from John's knuckles. Sorry, but yeah. So I buy already grated.
Yep. And here's your, not Trader Joe's brand. Here's your Albertsons.
Same thing.
Same exact thing.
Okay, so we're mixing it up. And it's, it smells good. Doesn't it, Patty? Does yours smell good?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So you mix it up. Now it's starting to look like a stuffing. See, it's like, and it smells so good. So here's another little secret I'll tell you. If you end up with extra after this is done and you stuff your zucchini and you still have more stuffing, it's amazing scrambled with eggs for breakfast. I know.
Wow.
All those things together are things that you would probably eat in an omelet or in a scramble. And that's what I usually do with the leftover, and intentionally sort of end up with a little leftover because I love the stuffing so much, and it really tastes good for breakfast. Or Patty and I were talking about what to do with the leftovers of this stuffed zucchini recipe. And Patty, what were we talking about doing with that?
Was that I thought that was the breakfast.
Well, we talked about like poaching an egg and
Yes.
putting it on top. Rather than just scrambling the mix, it's like the entire zucchini
Cooking the whole
with an egg on top, which is also amazing because you know what? Anything is better with an egg on top. Sorry, but it's true.
Love eggs. Well, that's something we agree on. Now, one thing you probably won't be doing at breakfast, though, is having a glass of wine with this.
Oh, yeah. Tell us about our wine pairing.
I will. So, Sam Sid, shout out to Sam Sid because it's her 27th birthday today. Woo!
Happy birthday, Sid.
7-year-old daughter. So, Sydney recommends a Barbera, which is a medium-bodied Italian red, and she says it has nice structure, but it won't overpower the zucchini. Now, John, again, hold on. For white, she recommends a Chardonnay. But remember, it doesn't have to be a Chardonnay.
I hate Chardonnay.
We're working on that. She said if you can find one from Italy, bonus points, because what did we learn last week?
I don't remember.
Goes together. So, and if you can't find an Italian one, get one aged in a bit of French oak to give it a bigger body for the Italian sausage. Remember, John, you got to get that Napa Chardonnay thing out of your head. We got to expand. We're going to work on that.
So many people, so many of my friends love Chardonnay, and I always have Chardonnay in the house because when they come over, it's like, you want some wine? Yes. Do you have a Chardonnay? Yes, I do. For you. Only you. Because I won't drink it. But I don't like it because it's so oaky and buttery and thick.
But that's just the style, right?
Yeah,
so
maybe.
You find the style you like. That is the famous Napa style that we.
Evidently, that is not my style. So,
yeah.
All right, now we're stuffing the zucchini. So here I am, like I'm literally spooning this delicious stuffing. Oh, and this cheese is starting to get all melty. And I'm stuffing it into, can you see what I'm doing? Yeah? I'm stuffing it into this globe zucchini. And like you want it to be heaping, like you want it to be overflowing. And then I'm putting into a baking dish that I've already buttered. And the only reason I do that is so that the zucchini doesn't stick to the dish when you take it out. Because again, this is one of those dishes that the presentation is everything. And it's so easy to make that when you pull it out, people are going to be like, whoa, you've been working all day. And, actually, Patty and I are drawing this out. But this dish comes together in a really short time. And then it has to bake for a while. So we cheated today. And we made some earlier so you could see what it looks like when it's done. But here we are. I've got this globe zucchini stuffed with that delicious mix that we just made. And I'm putting it in the baking pan. And so your next question might be, what do we serve with this? Because we can't just serve this alone. So what goes on the side? And we have a suggestion, don't we, Patty?
We do. So we're going to take there's a lot of different things you could serve, but I love this idea. You just take some cherry tomatoes, or these are the little itsy bitsy heirloom blend that are pretty colorful. We're just going to toss them with some olive oil, some salt and pepper. If you're feeling like some garlic, throw in some garlic. And this is what I love. You're just going to put them in the pan with the zucchini. I almost said peppers. And they're going to roast right along with the zucchini because it's nothing better than a one dish dinner, right?
And the color is really nice. So you're right. Like if you get that tomato mix, and again, Trader Joe's or the grocery store or the farmer's market usually has a mix of yellow and orange and red. Cherry tomatoes or plum tomatoes will work. And they really look good against the green of the zucchini, and they cook at the same time. So the beauty of that is all of this is done at the same time, throw it on a plate, put a little sprig of parsley or some basil next to it, and people are like, whoa, that's amazing. So I don't know. Maybe people will. Whenever people come to my house, that's the reaction I demand. Whoa, that's amazing. Don't you say that, Patty, every time?
I do. But honestly, I'm just always really happy when someone else is cooking for me.
All right, so mine's done. Are you close to done?
The one in the oven or the one in my hand?
Either way.
All right. Well, because I think the one in the oven is done.
Oh, look at my friend Kathleen. I love you, Kathleen. That is so sweet of you to say. Please keep watching. Tell your friends. I will teach you, Kathleen, I will teach you how to make gazpacho in a good way. She was having trouble last week.
Oh my gosh.
Okay.
Gazpacho? All right.
Kathleen will teach us how to do gazpacho. She made it last week, and we were having a whole conversation about scallions and whether or not this thing that she had purchased at the store was a scallion or not.
As opposed to what?
As opposed to a
leek?
A what?
A leek? A shallot?
A shallot. So we had this back and forth, and evidently she was polling her friends. And luckily, she asked me, and I knew the answer. Shallot.
Shallot. That's funny. So when I was first married, and I would go to my mother, and my mother-in-law was a pretty good cook, more traditional. And she was making a recipe, and she was using a scallion, a green onion, and the recipe called for a shallot. And I corrected her and told her that's not a shallot, that's a green onion. Yeah.
How'd that go over?
Not so great. And then I gave her a cookbook once, and that didn't go over very well either. So but she was always very complimentary of my cooking. So
thank you, Henry. Love you,
Hi,
love you too. Look, Patty, you're just adorable. Okay. And then what am I, like sliced liver? Chopped liver? Sliced liver? That's wrong, huh? All right, so I'm going to show you what it looks like when it's done. Oh, I got to get my hot pads because I pretended that I just put that in the oven, and like Rachel Ray or one of those other people, voila, it's already finished like magic. But there it is. So you can see, and I'm going to put it on a plate while Patty shows you hers so that you can see what it looks like plated.
And here's mine to go in the oven. We're going to be eating this for days because I made a double batch. So here it is.
How long does it need to be in the oven, and like at what temperature?
350. Doesn't everything cook at 350? For, what do we say, about 25 minutes?
No, actually, so I lied about that.
You did?
It was about 40 minutes.
Oh.
You know, the beauty of that is then you can go and continue to drink your wine and just wait for it to be done. And by the time it comes out, you know, if you've had enough wine, it really doesn't matter whether it tastes good or not.
Well, look at that. It's magic. It's now been 40 minutes. And there is the finished sizzling. Oh, yum. And I love those little roasted tomatoes. So here's a couple of things that I was going to suggest that you could use as a side dish with this. Love the idea of the tomatoes, super simple. You could also make a rice dish, and I have a family favorite that we're going to probably make in an upcoming episode, but any kind of just a rice dish would work. But that rice dish does use scallions, so we'll feature that in an upcoming episode. Or another great little side dish, I don't know, maybe a salad with green goddess dressing.
So I think we should figure out if we have a recipe that takes shallots and scallions, and then Kathleen can have both, and she'll be thrilled, along with her potato chips, because Kathleen, my friend, is a potato chip hoarder, evidently. So
potato chips.
Here is the finished product. So if you can see it, the lighting's not great. I'll have to fix that. But if you can see it, you can see that the tomatoes look really beautiful. And then you got the finished zucchini. The stuffing is like nice and crispy on top, and inside it's all cooked. And then you literally you can like eat it with a fork I usually do a fork and knife just so I can slice it and have pieces that have a little bit of everything. But yeah, delicious.
All right. Well, let me throw mine on a plate. Oh, this was not a good plate selection because my tomatoes are blending right into my orange plate.
Kathleen, are you talking about keeping your secret about being a potato chip holder? Because this is the thing I love about you. So we don't have to keep that a secret. Now that people know you're like exposed and lovely. I love that about you.
Exposed and lovely?
Yeah, she's amazing. This woman is amazing. Cancer survivor, like she's like so funny and wonderful, and I know she's watching, so Kathleen, I love you.
Awesome. Kathleen, I hope to meet you someday. So here is the traditional zucchini style. And John, where's my fork? Didn't we say that we should be trying these things on?
I don't mind doing that because you know what? I haven't had my lunchy, and I'm so I am cutting into this. Oh, it's like not easy to do on holding it. So I'm cutting into it and I'm having a bite.
I feel like I'm on Chopped where they would taste everything. Oh.
Ooh, that's good. All right, so it really tastes, honestly, it really tastes Italian. And I think it's the secret ingredient, really, I think, is the breadcrumbs. Because I can taste my grandmother's kitchen. I mean, honestly, I can just taste it. And it's those breadcrumbs. They're just, I don't know, they add a certain flavor. Anyway.
I like variety of cheese, too. I could taste all those different flavors of cheese.
So from start to finish, this recipe takes about, I don't know, an hour, 20 minutes of prep. You know, it comes together, boom, boom, boom. Stuff them, throw them in the oven for 30, 40 minutes, and then walk away, have a glass of wine, take a dip in your pool, I don't know, play cards, whatever it is you do, just while you're waiting for dinner. Crosswords, maybe like my dad used to do. And then pop it out, and you're ready for dinner.
Yum. I can't wait. So that was
awesome.
Patty,
why don't you tell a story? Why is this show called Dinner's Gonna Be a Little Tonight?
Oh, I get to do it. All right. So for those of you who haven't heard this already, John's mother was the cutest little Italian lady. She was shorter than I am, which is pretty short. And she was an incredible cook. And John would come home every night to these incredible home cooked meals. And one day after, I don't know, afternoon, early evening, we'd probably all been hanging out, getting into trouble. John came home and his sweet little mother was sitting on the floor of the kitchen with a glass of wine in her hand and said, "Dinner's going to be a little late tonight." And that little joke has endured not just with John and me, but with our high school circle of friends. And honestly, my whole family, we all say it too. And so that was the basis for the name for our show. And also not just a nod to John's mother, but mine also, because my mother was a great cook. And as I've said, she was not a teetotaler and she always had a glass of wine or actually was a vodka clamato was her go-to while she was cooking. So where this show is, the heart of the show is a nod to our mothers and our love for cooking and our love for each other. We're just really hoping to have some fun with this. So please share it, tell it with your friends. Let us know what you like. Let us know what you'd like to see. We are a blank slate and open book. So we're really excited about what we think we can pull off with this. We'll see.
Yeah, and we love that you watched all the way to the end with us. Thank you. And spread the good word because we're trying to make this a thing. And we're just working out the kinks. So you can see it's maybe a little rough, but hey, it's live and it's real, and so are we.
It's homegrown.
So like next week, if you'd like to watch, next week, what are we making, Patty?
I believe we're making chicken saltimbocca.
We are chicken saltimbocca, another recipe of my mom's, which is so easy and so delicious. And it's chicken and prosciutto and provolone cheese and what else? Sage, fresh sage, and a little wine butter sauce. So tune in next week for chicken saltimbocca. and spread the word. And thank you so much for watching. Dinner's going to be a little late tonight. We'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.